Brett Richter here. I'm up in Beausejour, Manitoba. We're at the CPTC for the season-ending ice oval race. It has been a long, grueling season this year. Racers have wished for a full season for a number of years because of weather concerns the past few years, and all of a sudden we got one, and everybody's kind of like, ready to be done. So we're going to run this weekend, and we are going to get the season wrapped up, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm actually going to have some time today to talk with Davis Jennings, who, I don't even want to say part-time racer, because one race a year doesn't really count, but more like full-time mechanic now?
Yeah, full-time mechanic these days.
Yeah, Weatherhill Racing.
Weatherhill Racing, Weatherhill Skelton Racing.
Great, awesome. So how many sleds are you running this? Well, you've ran a number of sleds this year, right? How many sleds have you tried to put out at once?
Well, we got 2 sleds. We've had a few different driver changes throughout the year. But yeah, 2 sleds mainly.
So are you running 2 this weekend?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
and that's Danik?
Danik Lambert on the number 3 and Felipe Roy Lalonde on the 48.
Hollywood, better known as.
Hollywood and Fast Phil.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Yep.
All right, it's good to know those names along the way. So you've got a history. We were just talking that you raced in Eganville this year.
Yep.
So you still have the ability and can race one of these champ sleds. How does that help you from a mechanic standpoint then?
I think it really helps. It's nice to be able to understand both sides of it. So, you know, I can stand on the sidelines and watch Danik or Phil and kind of, you know, watch what the sled's doing and, you know, understand it and kind of have a few things to suggest to change it or make it better. Yeah, having a clear understanding of both sides of it really helps. Tuning aspect.
Are you more of a handling or a horsepower person?
Handling. I think handling makes the difference.
And do the drivers agree with that?
I think so. Yeah. You got to go around the track. You got to go through the corners to be fast. So, corner speed equals straightaway speed. So. Okay.
So with 2 drivers, and I know they both have different driving styles. I've seen them both, and they approach the sport the same. But you know, obviously everybody drives a little bit different. Mm-hmm. How close are setups then between those 2 sleds?
They're pretty different, to be honest. Yeah, pretty different. You've got that, you know, the baseline for handling, but then just what each driver likes is fairly different at times.
So a lot of the people that will watch this are people who are not necessarily knowledgeable fans. You know, they don't understand a lot of the setup stuff. What's the key to champ speed in the corners? You know, people talk about forward bite or, you know, rotation or, you know, high siding and that type of stuff. Can you kind of break that down and say in order for champ sled to really corner well, it needs to do these things, and this is kind of how we make it happen?
Yeah. So basically, I mean, you talk about, you know, the sleds pushing and being loose. Those are the 2 terms that you hear mainly. So when a sled pushes, you're not getting that front end bite. And it won't hold itself in the corner in the line. So when you get back on the throttle, it removes ski pressure, and then it kind of amplifies that push. So you're not getting through the corner and out of the corner. When a sled's loose, it's kind of the opposite. You get back on the gas, and the track breaks loose. You rotate a little bit too much, and then you're also losing momentum through the corner because the track's spinning. So finding that happy medium, and you change one thing at the back of the sled, and then it changes the front, and then vice versa. So again, you got to find that happy medium to get that perfect setup, and that's always a moving target too, right? Because the track changes throughout the day, conditions, soft ice, hard ice, everything goes into play. So
right, we're going to see a lot of that this weekend based on the way the weather is.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. When you talk about changes in the back of the sled, are you talking about stud patterns in the track? Or are you talking about the amount of track on the travel of it?
Yeah, so a big adjustment you make is the amount of track on the ground. So the more track you have on the ground, the more traction you're going to have. But in doing that, you're going to lose front end pressure. So yeah.
And how much can that track travel up and down in the back?
You know, we only move the bolt, you know, like 1 turn or half a turn, and it makes quite a bit of difference. So I mean, you can. You know, we count the amount of bars, so you get the sled sitting on the table with the driver on it, and you count how many bars of track are on the ground, and, you know, rough measurement, you know, 8 inches or so of track is really all that's contacting the ice at one time. You know, half an inch or another inch of track on the ground makes a huge difference. So
that's amazing.
Very minute changes.
Right, so you're talking about a track that's either 106 or 116 inches in length, and you're only using 8 inches of it at any one time.
Yep. Pretty crazy.
I learned something just like that.
Yeah.
So there we are with that. Carbides in the front end make a huge difference as well.
Yeah.
And for people who don't understand that, really, you see a ski, but a ski is almost just for looks, right? Because there's a little wear bar on the bottom.
Yeah, it's just carrying the carbide, just carrying the runner, essentially.
Right. And how long are those?
10-inch carbide on the outside and 8 on the inside.
Okay.
So within the last couple of years, they changed that rule. So we used to be able to run whatever size carbide on the inside and outside. Now it's limited to the 8 on the inside.
Did you used to run shorter or longer?
10 on both sides was a pretty common setup. That's 10-inch carbide on inside and outside. That's what I always ran.
Okay.
Yeah.
So going to 8 inches on the inside made the sled do what?
You have to compensate with maybe a little bit more camber on the inside. So
Okay.
laying that spindle over, helping to bring that sled into the corner.
So does that slow it down a little bit?
No,
No?
I wouldn't say. No.
So
It's just a little bit of driver preference too. Some people run less carbide on the front just so it's not as aggressive, doesn't wear you out. But like I said earlier, you can have something, a softer suspension in the back, or you're doing something in the back of the sled that's then changing the front. So
Right.
it's, yeah.
I could get into some of this technical stuff for a long time. Since
Yeah,
I tell people, I don't know the difference between a spark plug and a muffler, so I really need to do some homework.
Yeah.
So I find it
There's
really
a-
interesting to learn some of this stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot to know and a lot to understand about it.
Yeah. Where do you see your future in the sport of snowmobile racing? Do you see this going long term? You want to be a team owner someday? You want to bring some young people along and get them to the sport, and you like this kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's interesting you mention that because within the last couple of years is kind of the first I started thinking about that. Maybe being a team owner one day would be really cool. The transition from being a racer to just a crew member is interesting, exciting, and a little bit difficult too. Because as a former racer, you're always kind of picturing yourself in the driver's shoes, and when you're at the racetrack, the vibe is always kind of the same. So, moving forward, I can see myself being a team owner.
Yeah,
Team owner
that'd
for
be
sure.
awesome.
I've still got my sled, so putting somebody else on it and watching them progress and helping them learn, that's a cool idea to me. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. There's a lot of history in the pit area that over the next 10, 12, 15 years we could potentially lose. You look at the hools and you look at the walls and you look at the gentleman in your trailer.
Yep.
That's what's name's
Paul Weatherall?
Yeah, sorry, Paul. The people like that, and that knowledge we need to somehow keep in the sport.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if it goes through people like you, and then you carry that on, and that's really what we need going along.
Yeah,
long
that's
term.
definitely my goal moving forward for sure. Yeah.
Fantastic. What are your expectations for the weekend? Danik's third in the Pro Star Cup Tour points, which I think is a fantastic accomplishment.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
He's worked really hard at it. The whole team has worked super hard, and just the commitment to coming to all the races and being there, and it's awesome.
So what do you expect for this weekend? What's realistic?
Realistic, I think we're top 3. Like we're right in the mix. Anything can happen. I think Danik's due for a win, and it's only a matter of time until that happens. And Felipe, he's wicked fast too. So, he was third Saturday, Sunday in Valcourt. And he's capable of doing it too. So it's only a matter of time for us.
Okay, well, just so you know, you're the 6th person who told me they're top 3. So, so it's going to be a little packed up there. But anyway, spend a few minutes with Davis Jennings. We're going to do the FXR Fast 10. You ready?
Yep.
Oh,
Ready.
before I do that, any sponsors you go on to list for the team?
Sponsors, Paul Weatherall, Mike Skelton, Chilco for hooking us up with coats, Skelton Truck Line, Magneto, Taylor Bros. Probably missing a few on that, but I knew that was going to happen. So.
Yeah, exactly. You're not the first. So, all right, let's do the FXR Fast 10. You ready?
Yep.
Would you prefer really spicy food or really bland food?
I probably have to go bland, I guess. That's
Yeah.
a crappy answer, but
Would you rather have no internet or no running water?
no internet.
Would you rather own a time machine or would you rather have a genie that will grant you 3 wishes?
Time machine.
Do you like reality shows or dramas?
Reality.
Would you rather be the smartest person in the world or the richest?
Smartest.
Would you rather pause time or rewind time?
Probably pause.
Which worse, bad breath or body odor?
I'd say body odor.
Would you rather have no company or would you rather have bad company?
Probably no company.
Are you a night owl or an early riser?
Earlier riser more so these days.
Yeah. And the big question, Reese's Peanut Butter Cup or Snickers?
I've seen enough of these. I'm going to say Reese's.
You don't have to do it that way. You can
No.
just tell the truth.
That's the truth, too.
Thanks, Davis. Good luck
Thank
this
you.
weekend. That's Davis Jennings, mechanic for the Weatherhill Skelton Racing Team.